Namaste. Welcome and greetings. I am Magick and It's gonna stop a virus. No. This
Got y'all listening now. Some witchcraft for that ass. Too late to turn away. Abracadabra and all that good shit. Yo. Hocus pocus, got you focused on my rhyme. Simply easy, now I'm eating couch potatoes, I recline. No, I'm joking as I'm toking power puffs at Pokeyokes. Till my town and villa filled with ganja smoke, you know the dope. Coming out my pipes, talking about the bones in my throat. With the mic, I'm casting curses every night, you know the scope. Got my spells handy. You may call it the phone, but when I'm done reciting, you'll give me the keys to the throne. Then I take my keys to go home. Didn't say I was done. While rush to end it all, it feels amazing to have won. I'm not planning to ball, but why not take the chance to stunt? No, I don't need it all. Can think the thing I don't want. Do I worship the sun, or sold my soul for the tongue, or dead since I was young, or got some voodoo done?
Namaste, peace and blessings, shalom, greetings, what's up? What's going on, people? As y'all can see, my special guest has been here before. He is the professor, Mr. Michael L. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Peace. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. What's going on? It's been approximately a year since you've been here. What have you been doing since then? What's been going on with you?
Man, I've been a different level of busy. I've been actually over the last year, I wrote 2 books and I'm almost finished with my third. So you know, to get anything done, the ultimate sacrifice is time.
Right.
So you know, my social media has turned into scrolling as the, you know, putting those dope posts down like I want to, but I just learned personally that especially if you're a writer, even if you're writing to yourself, diaries and stuff, you have to really document it. And so a lot of our documentation comes on social media. So
right.
And when I pull back from social media, whatever thoughts come across my mind, I can kind of chase them down a rabbit. That way, what would have become a Facebook post is like a nugget for a concept for a book or to follow something through. But that's basically my level of busy. And I'm a Prince Hall Mason, so I dedicate a lot of time to that. I do. And it's something that you know, I thoroughly enjoy on a human level, you know, something I thoroughly enjoy, you know. So I just been that's been my busy. And then, you know, most who follow me on Facebook, you'll know my son has had some health issues, and so we've been dealing with that. And so, like I said, just a different level of busy. You know, recently I got together with some of my old school friends from back in the days, our partners. We got together and looked around the circle, and we started asking who planned to make it to be the soul. And the sad answer was none of us. You know, most of us, you know, we get, you know, so I'm at Paul's age, and you figure it out or you make it happen, you know. So that's just the level of busy. Nothing new under the sun.
Okay. Peace to everybody who's in the chat. Yes, Brother Moore, on a Monday, because as you know, tomorrow is the solar return, so I had to do it today. Cali family, yeah, peace and blessings, Legacy Sigma. And Jean I think I'm saying that right. Jean peace. How are you, sister? Good to see you in here. If y'all have any questions for Mr. Bell, please put them in the chat. I'm sure he will answer. What was you said you got a third book that's coming out. What was the first 2 about? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot. It's a little more than the first 2. So I had my first book, which was The Occult Meaning of Masonry, its symbols, and the chakra system. My next like 3 books after that were children's books. I did one for my son. I published another sister's book, and then I did another for my son. And then I want to say I dropped that Star Trek book. I think that was the last time I was on. I dropped that Star Trek book, and the metaphysics of Star Trek. So the two books I wrote and the one that's almost finished. Actually, the one that's almost finished should have been written. It's the workbook to my first one, The Occult Meaning of Masonry, its symbols and the chakra system. So I started off just doing a second volume, a second book. But the one good thing about today in technology, I got a lot of feedback from people who bought my books. And so where I thought that it was a very introductory level to certain topics like chakras and Kabbalah and things like that. A lot of the feedback that I got was, can you say that in English? Can you break it down? So I started with a second volume, but then I thought about it and said that the feedback I'm getting is more on the level of, not that I don't understand what you said, but it was more on an instructional level, because I purposely wrote that book where I wanted the reader to stretch. I didn't want to provide any of my solutions or any of my outcomes. I just wanted to provide you with all these tools. So I think in the end, it's like somebody who says, yeah, I got an 8-piece socket set at the house, but then you present them with one of those rollout Tim the Tool-Man tool drawers, and they might say, well, what is that one for? Now, what do I do that with that one? So when I gauged the feedback, I abandoned volume 2 as a book and began the workbook. And the workbook just took time because if you see it, if you can envision something in your mind, then it comes into reality. So the hard part for me was when I decided to switch over to the workbook, I could see what it would look like, but I couldn't find a template anywhere. So I wasted a lot of time trying to use AI, going to different places, trying to find a template for what I saw in my mind. When I just finally realized and said, I'm just going to build the template myself. So that's what kind of took it a little time, because I kind of wanted, especially on the Kabbalah information, we hear about Kabbalah. So I really wanted to have it almost like, my dream would have been if at certain points, the pages would have been clear.
Right.
So to be able to build each world, and then you can layer the worlds and then the Sephira. And as you peel it back, you have a full image. But what I decided to go with was that I was just going to build the tree world by Sephira up, and have each person, as you read the book, you get the information, and just make it more of a workbook, something you make it yours. Because also in today's day and age, we put a lot of energy into our devices.
Yes,
we put the Twitter fingers to work, but there's something very magical about putting pen to paper.
Yes.
I actually have a guilty pleasure. I go to any bank, Staples, anywhere I go, if they have ink pens and markers, I take them. Post office, I take them, and I put them everywhere around me, whether it's in the car. Yeah, I go in, I say, oh, they have a yellow and a green highlighter. Whoop, because I'm going to. While I'm wherever I'm at, I take a book with me, or I take a PDF with me. I print them out.
Yeah.
That's another thing. My eyes got bad reading PDFs on devices, so now if I like it, I'm printing it out. Even if I have a PDF just for a specific. Sometimes Bobby Hemming said it, and I never realized it. How you can get a book just for one page, and so sometimes we get these books and, man, it's only a passage in there that's going to actually activate something, Right. And so when you start to realize what nuggets you're looking for and where they're at, I print out a PDF and I'll print it out chapter by chapter and go through it, my little tips and tricks for studying. But I just apply a lot of the energy I put into social media, especially anybody who's been here in these Facebook streets for a minute. I've been putting I used to put a lot of energy in the post, and sometimes it's like once you drop it, you can never find it again. Right. Like we were talking over the weekend, and I said, man, I did a bunch of breakdowns on the OA like 6-7 years ago. Right. And so when I started looking for them, couldn't find it anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like now I understand the importance of those hashtags, those pounds. You got to find little. But again, I think the overall theme is that we have to realize that technology is here to work for us. I kind of look at technology like it's an extension of the ego. A lot of times we think that the ego is bad. You got to kill it. Really, you do. Really, you don't. The thing for me, I feel as though the ego is an excellent servant, but a horrible master.
Okay.
So technology falls into the same category. If you let it lead you, it's going to lead you astray. But if you make it work for you, it'll work for you. So that's where I've been, you know.
Okay. Yeah, you know, when I was in school, when I was getting my first degree, in microcomputer applications, like I was telling you, you know, the thing that they stress to us, save often. Like save. So I got in the habit of
Mm-hmm.
saving everything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
As far as, you know, on the computer. So that's a good tidbit there that
Yeah.
you gave. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But you saying so you take like pens like from a bank or
Yeah.
from a
Yeah.
library?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's
And so that way I know, because believe it or not, I do it because every time I get in my car, I can't find a pen. So maybe maybe the universe is balancing the scales behind my back. But I know what it is. My daughters, my wife, people get in. Everybody know I have pens. So you need to
right.
write something down. But still, yes, I do it all the time. I do it all
Okay,
the time, and
okay,
it serves me well. But this is something that I this is, you know, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit.
okay.
Lately, I've been talking with some of my friends, and everybody says, you know, man, you're so smart, you multitask. And I tell people that I recently came to the understanding I might be on the spectrum. You know, I might be, you know, hype that little form. I really do, because I have a lot of little ticks that aid me well. That, you know, my study habits, the things that I do, and I know that each of us have our own secret sauce. You know, but having a special needs son, I really feel as though, like, we know that there's something spiritual about it, but I think
Right.
there's also something. I think there's also an evolutionary component about it,
Yeah.
because in terms of a physical form, possibly taking on more energies, right?
Yeah.
So I look at my son, and we all know, well, not all, but most should understand that when you see people with different forms of psychosis, whether it's from a birth defect or from whatever, I've long came to the conclusion that they're just seeing the unseen.
Right.
And
Right.
so I really look, and I think that what we call on the spectrum and all of that, they have negative connotations, but I really think it's the future. I
Yeah.
really do. You know, I'm actually working on a Star Trek novel. Star Trek.
Wow.
Okay, Star Trek is my passion. I'm gonna be
Right.
honest.
Right.
I get most of my down. I've been watching Star Trek since a youngin, and I get my
Right.
download. That's why I wrote the metaphysics of Star Trek, because
Right.
for me the two intersect. You know, if people watch Star Trek, in the first episode of the Next Generation, this came out maybe '92. They were under attack, and Picard asked for feedback from the metaphysics department. You know, so my little geeky mind always caught those little bits, but for me, I look at things. So for Star Trek, I lost my train of thought. As soon as I start talking about Star Trek, it's a wrap. But just in terms of, I was talking about the evolutionary aspect of special needs
Right.
and
Right.
disabilities. So in the novel that I'm writing, and it's definitely influenced by my son, that's gonna be. I really feel as though what we call on the spectrum ADD, any of these psychological defects, those are just forms of what's to come. And I'm not saying we might consider it a defect now, but I just think that that's the future in terms of being able to hold and retain more in these physical forms, because we've done it all. But you know, you look on the walls of Kemet, even with the Hindu iconography, and you see there's always elongated heads in these different shapes. I really think that there's nothing when it says there's nothing new under the sun. I think of the repetitive life of nature, the repetitive nature of life, and then the sun also represents Tiferet. And so everything below Tiferet has form. This has all been done before, you know.
Right.
So yeah, so when I say that I might be on the spectrum, I'm not dissing myself. I just know that how I focus, my laser focus, and I can still multitask. My wife actually hates it because she knows when I'm in cognitive download, because you're just going to get and I'm right there with you though. I'm tracking, but right now I'm computing on something on the right side of my brain, and you know I got to follow that rabbit down the hole. I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember one of his lectures. Bobby said something about that. Bobby said that
Mm.
people who are autistic or have any of these other things going on with them are usually walking in both worlds. I remember Bobby Hemmett saying that. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So you definitely are tapping into something right there.
Hey,
You know,
I tell you, not to cut you off. I
no,
apologize.
you good, you good.
Um, my son, he does this rock like kind of like a Stevie Wonder rock, but his eyes are open. And so, a few years back, I tried it in meditation because he does it. He does it when I say consistently. I
Mhm.
wonder. I wonder why his neck isn't broad. Like his neck should be this big. He's constantly he rocks, and it's kind of like
He does
I,
it all the time. Then,
he does it all the time.
yeah.
And when I tell you that when I tried it in meditation, uh, vortexes opened up, and I kind of got scared. I felt like I was getting swallowed up.
Wow.
And I'm talking about this is I did it at a time when I was meditating like a minimum 3 hours a day. I was ground. I mean, yeah, it was powerful, man. And I said, this man does this for fun all day. Yeah,
Right.
literally. Maybe my mistake was closing my eyes. I don't know. But
Right.
yeah, so I definitely know there's a spiritual component. I definitely know it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then when you were talking about the elongated heads, Azazel Bay in one of his comic books,
Mhm.
peace to him. His birthday was yesterday, but
Yesterday, yeah.
Akhenaten, who he talks about
Mhm.
in his comic book, had an elongated head. So yeah, all these things has these spiritual connotations, but like you said, they put these negative things on it, but we know it's spiritual there. You know,
Exactly. Just like what they call science, that they're saying, oh, um, the brain is a receiver of some sort. That
um,
that's old game. And when I look at the elongated heads, I think to myself in terms of antenna and receiver.
mm,
That's
mhm.
why I say that I really think a lot of what we're seeing now, because there's certain tribes in Africa that still elongate their heads,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and 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 there have been tribes that if you were born with a certain defect, they would bash the baby on the rocks, right? And
Yeah.
so I really wonder if some of it was with everything being ancient. I think a lot of the prejudices stem from times when that was the norm and not
Mhm.
and there's always genetic memory,
Absolutely.
because even the story of Yakub tell you something. We call him Yakub, the big head scientist, but clearly amongst his own people, he didn't have a big head, right?
Right.
We could assume that Yakub,
Yeah.
that was a name that was given to him by those that he experimented on, more or less.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but
He got a whole section in his comic book about. He says Yakuba. I might need to open that up to share that. But yeah. Thanks to all who's tuning into this conversation. Peace, Chikezi. What's up? We are talking with again the Professor Michael Bell. Why do they call you the Professor, sir?
uh,
Where'd that title come from?
hey, that's incredible. I'm glad you said it. So one of my consistent studies is about reincarnation.
Okay. Okay.
And what kind of got me on it when I used to listen to Bobby back in the day, you got to when you look back and say most of us always felt some kind of special.
Mhm.
And so when I look back on my life, especially the older I get, I definitely see patterns that existed from at a time when I shouldn't have held these titles, right? So
Right.
I said that to say, at just about every point of my life, from like maybe fourth grade up, I've had some variation of that name.
Mm.
When I now mind you, I grew up in the hood. I'm from South Richmond, California.
Yeah.
They call it the rowdiest part of California you never heard of. And I don't care how square you might have wanted to be. In Richmond, you were gonna fight. This is the 80s. Some
Yeah.
things were just mandatory. Where
Right.
my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, and I always think about. I know why I chose her, because we had to read that Bible
Mm.
every day. Well, we read it for an hour a night, and we run through the Bible. We start in Genesis, hour a night. By September, we were back in Genesis.
Mm. Okay.
But I appreciated her because, number one, I was reading by the age of 3. You know, I mean, I could do. My sister had to read the Bible for me. I can clearly remember being young and saying, "Nobody got to read. Nobody got to read for me. I read for myself." So I said that to say, when I brought up Richmond, when I was a teen, and in the '80s, and I was out there wilding, my nickname was Super Genius. That was everybody called me Spice the Super Genius. I was called that name from probably 13 to probably 18. Everybody called me Super Genius, and so it was always some variation of that. So the professor came. The professor came when I became a Shriner, and again, who you are is going to stand out whether you open your mouth or not. Because I was explaining to my daughter the other day that 73% of communication is nonverbal. 73%. So there's 27% that comes out your mouth. The rest are tail signs that we pick up visually, auditorily, or whatever. So when I became a Shriner, again, I was in a phase where I was still searching for deity. I hadn't realized yet that it was within, right? So I've been a seed hop Buddhist. I almost took my Shahada and became a Muslim, almost, had an uncle who's NOI. I was always curious about, because again, my mother raised me on Bible stories. I always had an active imagination. So the Bible was the greatest book to me because it was just like reading Tolkien. These great forces of good and evil, and a serpent and a lion and a lamb, so, but I just look back and I say that's a passion of mine because I used to do meditations where I would do past life regressions.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I did it for an entire summer because I try to apply the same scientific methods, right? It should be repeatable, and anybody else should be able to come to the same results.
Okay. So, that's like me. I'm sorry, I ain't mean to cut you.
Oh, wait, no, go.
No, I was just going to add to that, we got that in common because when I was 6, my mom, she bought me an encyclopedia set, and I remember, being at a young age, just spending hours reading the encyclopedia, especially like the space part about the planets and everything. I used to read, but I've been reading ever since. That's why my eyes so fucked up now. So
same here. No, same here. We grew up, my mother, she raised 4 kids by herself, so we didn't have a lot of money. But one thing she always did, when that salesman knocked on the door with those encyclopedias, because I know that's what I'm talking about. Once upon a time, the books came to you. Yeah, knock on the door. My mother would say, because always what happened is within a year, you might be missing your L through M, some pages, or my mother would say, go see which encyclopedias were missing. You get those, and she would say, and get yourself a book, Michael. And so back then, this, I'm talking early 80s, the internet wasn't a thing. If you were a reader, you read what you could read, And so whether it was an encyclopedia, it didn't matter,
Right. I read Reader's Digest. I read Stephen King books when I was like 9. You know what I'm saying? So I've been reading for a very, very long time. So,
but if you think about it, this was a time when you went in anybody's house and they had magazines and books on the coffee table. When you went into the bathroom, there was a magazine rack. They were going to have books and magazines. This was like nowadays. I think that would probably seem so weird because we're all on the phones. But you were encouraged to read, and you read constantly, And
so you think this is a deliberate? In my opinion, it is. But do you think that's a deliberate thing? The dumbing that adds to the dumbing down of America?
Oh, of course. There are studies. So one study that was released, I want to say maybe 2.5 years ago. The average American has a shorter attention span than a goldfish, and I think a goldfish is less than three seconds. I think humans are 2.3. So so that's tied into the scroll effect, and the scrolling, which dumbs you down, but it also tickles that part of your brain for instant gratification. So it's combining the short attention span with you must entertain me.
Yes.
So it is.
Yeah, I remember looking a couple years ago. I would tell my audience this all the time. The attention span, they said, was 3 minutes at one time. The next time I looked, which was less than 5 years, then it got all the way down to 8 seconds. And
Yep.
then when you're talking about saying now it's less than a goldfish, which is 3 seconds.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not good. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely not good. And they do studies on just how dumb the average American is. They do studies on this.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
and the sad part is that most Americans don't know. Uh,
right,
I'm kind of it's one of my little tweaks, one of my side passions. I'm very intrigued. We live at a time that they call the collection of big data. They say that never before have they captured this much data. You know, so when you watch movies, I know we're gonna go into to some movies and decoding, but I'm
absolutely.
always bring up if you remember the Winter Soldier. And when they
Yes,
said that they were going to target people, even based on what you bought at the AM PM, you know,
right,
and
right.
so the same thing is going on right now. Oh, collection of big data is infamous, you know. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just re-recorded that one. I hadn't seen that in a long time.
mhm.
I was walking past the TV and I was like, I haven't seen that. Let me record it so I can watch it again with even fresher eyes.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? But the ones, I mean, we got movies in common, certain movies and certain series. And I
Mhm.
can't thank you enough for the OA because I couldn't believe what I was seeing with that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Who did someone put you onto it or you just came across it? Or how'd you get onto that one?
So when the OA first came out, I know it was about maybe 2018, about 7 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, at that time, I was decoding the world
Okay.
in real time. If it came on, I watched it. So at the
Right.
time, I remember specifically because I had found out that how the Netflix algorithm, how it will restrict what you watch. So I was running. Oh, another thing, I'm the professor, but I'm a scientist. I run experiments on myself constantly, and so
Mhm.
I like to what I like to do now with the algorithm is I like to play with the algorithm. And so at the time with the OA, if you remember, you could go on Netflix. I know you probably still can. You go on
Mhm.
there and put in the code so you can see everything that it's not showing you. There
Okay.
used to be a code for that. I don't know if it's still popping or not, but at the time, that's what I was doing, and that's how I stumbled across the OA because I like let my feed tell it I only want to watch science fiction, you know.
Right. Right.
So every now and then you have to take one for the team, and I got to watch something. I got to change my algorithm up. So
Right.
I watch something that otherwise is going to make me want to throw up. I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
And sometimes you find surprisers because you know the algorithm also paying attention to whether you're paying attention. That's why
Right.
Netflix always says, "Are you there?" They know if you're watching or not. So you got to fool the algorithm. And for me, I use it as a form of discipline because to change up your feed is to change up what you're feeding on. You know,
Right.
that's why they
Because
call it.
I've been the OA lost, which I
Mhm.
think people sleep on that so much. Lost and to talk about not just like reincarnation, but time travel. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Time travel and multi dimensions. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Lost covers all of that. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't know that they think it's just these people trapped on. I don't know. It's way more to it. Like it's way more to the OA. Peace to Michael Surratt. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring y'all. Nikki Love, welcome. Sitting here having a conversation, a good deal with the Professor Michael Bell. What other series would you?
Okay.
All right.
I want to say this. So another series that's I know for a fact is probably slept on by the majority is called Dark. Have you watched Dark? The German series. It has the why the words escaping me when it has the words at the bottom subtitles. It's in German but it has subtitles. So Dark is getting ready to leave Netflix. Only 2 seasons. I guarantee if you watch those 2 seasons and you don't get any downloads, go back to whatever step one is, like changing up your toothpaste to decalcify your pineal. You know, go back to something real simple. Because
Right.
if you don't watch this and you don't get blown away, oh man, yeah.
And it's
So
just called Dark,
it's
D A
called
R
Dark,
K.
Dark. And so you'll see it because it's going to have a little boy in a yellow rain suit standing in front of a cave.
Okay.
And only 2 seasons. And again, this is something Dark has been on Netflix for before OA, like 7-8 years now. And it is mind-blowing. And it's our science. You know, what I wanted to say to you too is something I realized when you said how these series are slept on and don't make sense. That's because they usually come out too soon. And so what I mean by too soon, I mean energetically. You know, at the time, series like Lost, OA, at the time that these series we're talking about were out, even American Gods, which I haven't seen, but energetically I'm aware of. We have to realize that at the time, this is when Bobby and Panic were in their heyday. This is when those. So a lot of these, like I really feel like with like OA, I really feel like the channel turned off for these writers. Because they didn't. We were talking about the OA, and I really feel like the OA started going somewhere, and the writers was like, "We don't know where it's going. This is doing it on its own."
Yeah, you said that to me just like 2 days ago.
Yeah. So imagine when you're just along for the ride, and then all of a sudden the car ran out of gas. Right. Yeah, series is over. It is ended, and so like with the OA. Oh, we'll give a breakdown of the OA. So with the OA, I'm gonna say this, and we can get back to it.
Okay.
With the OA, there's a component to it that in the second season, I was saying to you, Cthulhu made a guest appearance. Well, literally, when I was watching that second season, because I was a madman shouting from the mountains, telling everybody on Facebook, you gotta watch the OA. Nobody will watch it. So second season rolled around. Remember when Panic was on that Cthulhu kick?
Yeah.
I'm watching the second season and Cthulhu's there for no reason. That character, I don't know if you got there yet, and I hope I'm not spoiling it for you.
No, I've only gotten to 1 episode of season 2. Yeah.
Go ahead, buddy. I'll be right there to help you out. That's my son. I'll be in there. So no, somebody asked for a brief breakdown. So the OA, and I love it because I'm convincing my daughters to watch now, and I was explaining it to them. So the OA. It starts off, there's a little girl, her father, I don't know if he was a mob boss. He was somebody, I think he was a gangster, a Russian gangster.
Russian mob boss, I think.
Yeah. And so there was an attempt made on his life that actually tipped her bus. Wow. She had an accident. She lost her sight. Wow. And then since they were still pursuing him, she was sent to America to stay with some aunt and uncles that she never knew, blah, blah. But she was blind at this point. She reached, I think she was 18. She was old enough to travel. She went looking for her father. Long story short was she had this infatuation in her mind. She had daddy issues, understandably. And she went to find her father, and she ran into the illest mad scientist known to man. And she broke the first rule that every parent teaches their kids: you do not walk off with strangers.
Right.
You know, and I think that's an important part of it, because that's where her hero's journey took that weird arc. So all in all, she was kidnapped and made she was a subject of essentially metaphysical experiments. Now, what I do want to say while we're talking is my breakdown. She was blind, you know, she was kept in a basement with the other people. I always interpreted that as her being like a Persephone. You know, Persephone was like actually like a Virgo. You know that?
Yeah.
She represented that swing in the season, because Virgo sits on the for the astronomical signs, for the zodiacal signs. Virgo sits on that cusp between light and dark. So every time Persephone had to go back into the underworld to chill with Hades, of course, fall and spring ensued, and when she came back up, everything got green. So it was the same. It was the same thing with the OA. Now, her name was not the OA. I forget her real name, but
it was Nina at first. When she was a little girl, it was Nina. Then was OA, and
her parents. Her name was. Go ahead.
It was Nina, OA, and Prairie.
There we go, Prairie. There we go. So while we're talking about these series, definitely watch it. It's on Netflix. But I'm going to give you the keys, because just to remember that we decode these movies so we can decode our dreams. And this
Yeah.
is all Panic 101. And then once you decode dreams, you begin to decode your life in real time. And that's the only reason why you should be breaking down a movie. Do not break it down for clicks or likes. Don't break it down for mental masturbation. You do it so you can decode your life in real time. You know, so I want to drop these tools because again, I was accused of saying I dropped something elementary, and they said no, we need some more. So just remember, these are the tools. So the names, the OA. Me and my daughters have seen me watching it. I tried to binge it, but my schedule didn't permit, and my daughters were asking me about it, and so I was talking to them, and they reached that age that I love it. They don't know. My daughters don't know, but they've been listening to Bobby Hemmett since they were 2 years old. Matter of fact, they do know. They do know. They call Bobby Hemmett the angry loud man.
Okay.
But they don't know that again. I'm like Happy in a sense. Happy is the antagonist in the series of OA, but Happy is really just a scientist. And so there's a Happy in me because I am willing to experiment, whether it's on myself or in this case my daughters. I've primed them. We've talked about it when my kids were little. We used to read Judith Illis's Encyclopedia of Spirits, and I would tell my daughters while we waiting for dinner to get ready, somebody pick a deity. We're gonna read it. So they got older, and of course, as kids get older, they don't want to be around silly dad no more. But now that I see them, you mentioned the Winter Soldier earlier. My daughters, they're rewatching because all of this came out when they were too little to be aware. So they're getting caught up on Marvel, and I'm literally watching Winter Soldier and having like all kinds of like, oh, I missed that. Those kind of moments. So in the OA, Happy is the scientist. So what I initially saw in Happy was the demiurge, but I saw the demiurge in that aspect as something being negative.
Right.
But when I rewatched it, we tend to give the things we don't like negative connotations, and usually the things we don't like are the things that propel us forward. Little kids, you gotta be forced to eat your vegetables. I don't like it, but it's actually good for you, son. And so the demiurge falls in that same category for me. So I look at Happy because we mentioned Virgo. So remember, Happy, Virgo was doing her thing. Basically, she was walking through the wheat fields, and she ran into Happy. Happy represents the demiurge actually represents Leo. So there was also a zodiacal aspect, like the lion swallowing the sun, like the alchemical thing, because the ancient symbol for the demiurge is a lion-headed serpent.
Right.
So a lot of people saw that so much in like that medieval Renaissance paintings that we assumed it was something European, but actually the lion-headed serpent goes back past Egypt. That's actually the symbol for August, for summer, for Leo. So I kind of looked at it in terms when I said Persephone, and I thought Virgo, then I looked at Happy and said he's a scientist, but he also represents the sun, and so it was a must that he attempt to swallow up the OA because Leos like their time in the sun. Leo's a Leo will walk down the street and just assume the parade is behind them. They gotta be because I'm a Leo. So that was Happy's whole obsession with the OA.
Right.
In that sense, right? But even then, and so you tie Happy, who has the letter H, you tie his name into Hades because in the original story, Hades had trapped Persephone in Hades, and he tricked her that she had to come back.
Right.
So when I watch movies, I try to keep track of names, and we live in a technological time. You can easily go and you can ask Chat GPT a simple question like Judith Illis's Encyclopedia of Spirits, and you can ask for her all the gods and goddesses that have to do with prairies and flatlands. And I do little things like that, and then from there your own light is gonna come on. And so the OA is dope. And again, this is all spoilers, and if I'm spoiling it, I'm sorry. You should have watched it already. The mudra aspect and the body movement.
That's what really got me into it. when they started doing the mudras. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it. And so when you watch the OA, don't expect it to be boom, bang, bing out the gate, because
right.
it is going to lay tracks. But when it comes, it's going to come at the most appropriate time. And
Right.
so the OA helped me in terms of, like I said, around that time, I was heavy. My meditation schedule was heavy. Matter of fact, I would watch the sunrise. I would sun gaze morning and afternoon, and full moons, I would moon gaze. Oh man, I was, and truthfully, I received so many downloads at that time that a lot of them, these are things that I'm still unraveling. And that's another thing I said about the pens.
Mm-hmm.
Documents, a lot of what you document on Facebook, I know Facebook reminds us every year, but be certain to jot it down, because I'm always amazed when I go back and read things,
Yeah.
And so you'll look back and you'll realize that your future self left you a nugget for yourself in the past that you didn't pick up again until you got to the future. And that's the things that are like mind blowing to me,
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody who's here, thanks for your questions. Sister Righteous, welcome. Michael Serret, Know Thyself. That we're talking about the OA, but we also the other things that I've been watching besides Lost was, and I keep telling people to watch Lovecraft Country, and American Gods, and the other one,
Watchmen.
Yes, yes.
Watchmen was so powerful.
Right.
Even though they interjected the agenda type stuff.
Yes,
but
I'm sorry. That part is, well, anyway, go ahead.
But no, see, so what I had to do, I had to train myself, because you never want to be on the wrong side of history, right? There's one of my favorite authors. His name is Baltazar Gracian. I read this book as a teenager, maybe 19. It's called wow. I've read this book so many. Baltazar Gracian, The Art of Worldly Wisdom. Been reading this book since I was 19. So one of it's full of these little maxims. So one of them, he says, it's better to be insane with the world than sane alone. And so he didn't mean it in the literal sense of being sane alone, but sometimes you got to go with the current,
Right.
So whenever I see those aspects where they insert agendas, whatever the agenda might be, I always put it in its most simplest metaphysical terms. Right. So anything that has to do with non-binary gender, anything like that, and this is not to knock anybody. This is just how I live my life. I always look at it in its most simplest terms. So a lot of that is just saying the non-gender is more of the middle pillar, the middle path. It's more of that center, that balancing point. So that's the thing. That's the thing that's saying this character represents the middle path. Now we know, most know that the middle path is Kabbalah. There's the three pillars. The one in the center, which is the direct path. So you would think that everybody would go right up the gut. But the thing is, the reason why Malkuth in Kabbalah sits so low on the tree is because there was a break in the tree. Where Malkuth sits, Malkuth should actually be there filling that gap. This physical existence should not exist if you take it up and put it in its rightful place. Rightful place is where Da'ath exists, right? That's where Malkuth should be. So since we exist down here, we have to realize that the middle path, that the reason why right now it seems like it's a hot topic, whether it's gender neutrality, whether it's anything that has to do with gender questions, because the middle path is actually the one that's uncertain, because that Malkuth is here at the bottom and there's this chasm known as Da'ath. It's kind of hard to get across that path. Well, what people don't know is Da'ath is in the Sephirah when you think of Kabbalah. And I'm tying this all back into OA too. Da'ath is in the Sephirah. Da'ath is the cosmic garbage can. Da'ath is where all bad ideas get recycled, and where some good ones go too. This is the cyclical nature of life. So Da'ath means knowledge. So this is knowledge that, for whatever reason, maybe it went out of favor or was forgotten, no longer. Well, I can't say no longer serves a purpose because everything in Kabbalah is divine and connected to deity. So for whatever reason, it gets recycled and then it comes back. And that's why I can say with confidence that technology isn't new. You know, it just existed in some other form. They just recently said that Vegas used to be lit up like Egypt used to be lit up like Las Vegas. So to get back on track to the OA, so they used essentially mudras. They would do hand and body movements. Sometimes it even involved
Yeah.
And so, so they use these things to put themselves in a synchronous like vibration. And actually that's how they travel. Eventually that's how you travel dimensions and things like that. But we know it's true because I believe like between C. Freeman L. and Dr. Africa, C. Freeman L. was the one that said your body's going to tell you what to eat. You know, a rocket ship don't need the same fuel you put into a race car won't do nothing for a rocket ship. And so this is the understanding that it's not so much what you put in your body. I'm not saying don't be healthy, but whatever it is that you're working on, your body's going to tell you what fuel it needs. Whether it was my great granny who ate her hog mog and chitlins on the regular and had the little can of lard that she cooked out of. That was the fuel she needed for all her downloads.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, no, thyself said dark was fire. Oh, yeah. Yes, I am. Thank you. I am teaching tips for astral travel. Whenever I talk, whenever I speak to people, unbeknownst to them, I'm always subconsciously encouraging you to astral project, you know, or to reach it, at the very least, to reach that plane just below the astral. So yes, I do. I talk astral travel surreptitiously, and not for any nefarious reason, but because I like talking to the subconscious part of each of us. The part that we're using right now is how much of the brain they say we use. It's less than 10%, right?
10%, yeah, less than that. Yeah,
less than that. So that part of consciousness is what's bumping its gums right now. The rest of this superstructure of a human body is being ran by the unconscious and subconscious mind, and I enjoy those conversations. And I find that, okay, we were talking about communication being nonverbal. And again, this is actually a conversation between the subconscious and the conscious mind, because the conscious mind think I run this. I run it. You know, I do all the talking. I tell you where to walk, you know. But at the same time, 73% of what we communicate, okay, but I want you to keep it on because we're going to go pick up your mom in a little bit, okay? So 73% of communication is nonverbal. That means that what I assume to be a separate consciousness or unconsciousness from you is actually communicating, while it's like this. It's like the subconscious say, man, let the kids play. And then the subconscious or the unconscious mind, they communicate, because this form of this 73% is below the threshold of consciousness. So whenever I talk Kabbalah and things like that, anything of a spiritual nature, I try to have a conversation with both aspects of the person. Now, we were talking about the ego being a poor master but a great servant. So what makes the ego a poor master is when the ego actually serves a great function, which is to protect us. Got your back, front, side to side. The bad thing is when you allow your ego to be turned to a gold tender, a goldie, slapping everything away, all opportunities, any chances for growth, you know, any chances for self-correction. And that is what the ego can get to that function. And so usually, and Panic taught me this, the best ways to get around the subconscious mind is through parables, which is why most of our so-called spiritual, not so-called, take that back. Most of the people who came to enlighten us, they always spoke in parables, right? That's why these things are attributed to Buddha, Jesus, and so on. So a story, because a story has too many computations, the ego kind of lets them slip past. Jokes, that's why you shoot your funnies, and I love it, because jokes, anything that makes you laugh, the ego puts down his guard and says, oh, we supposed to laugh, or basically I'm gonna open the gate, right? Let it in. Right. And so I've just developed that as a habit, and I tip my hat to who said it, because again, I practice this on my kids, and I sit back and I wait. And that's the hard part as a scientist, is wait to see you plant the seeds, you hope it was on fertile ground, and you water it, and you make sure the weeds didn't grow, and you wait. And so I tell my daughters every now and then, the light finally came on. I've been waiting, man. Been waiting for that light. Okay, now we can start doing this now. We can move on. And so, yeah, and Sandman too. Actually, I just started watching. I was all over the first season of Sandman. Second season came out, and I was just super kind of busy, and I didn't get on it. So I started watching this weekend, and still didn't make the time. I won't say I didn't have it; I just didn't make it. But Sandman is beyond dope. So just when you watch these series, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm an anime guy. A lot of people, there's the big controversy of captions or no captions. Please get in the habit of captions when you're watching these movies, especially if you like it. You put it on.
We got so much in common, man. Bro, yes.
And so I think the anime primed me to watch movies while I read. And so for me, when I started to decode my life, I tried to go back as far as possible to anything I was ingesting in terms of TV and walk it up. Which is why the other day I posted about Voltron.
Yeah.
So that, for me, you might not think that your favorite cartoon was worth analysis, but for me, I went back, and you should, because those are the things that your ego wasn't fully formed yet, and you allowed it all to come in. I tell you, a unconscious conversation I had on Facebook with the Voltron post. If you watch it from the beginning, when they're saying, dinotherms connected. Right. At that very moment, they show a pentagon light up with all 5 colors, right? Yeah. Because a part of us knew that was a pentagon, but we didn't associate it with anything bad because this was Voltron, and so we know it's not anything bad, right? And so as I grew older and I investigated, I realized that the pentagram is just, the 4 elements plus spirit. It's your human body. It's the arm, the leg, arm, head. And what was Voltron showing us with the pentagram? That you can form of Voltron. You can form, if you activate all 5 of those, you can become this ultimate, being, this robot capable of defeating whatever. So I decoded all, I went back as far as like Steve Austin. I went back, anything I liked, I went back. And then I tried to walk it forward, and so I know I'm jumbling, but I'm gonna try to keep it all tied in. So like when I was doing the past life regressions, I was using these, they have them on YouTube. I would get them and I would tweak them and I would make them my own. And so I learned early on, we talked about the attention span. I learned early on, meditation is hard for most because how long can you hold a single thought? And so some people think that this is magic, that, you were blessed by the gods. But what it really is you've been programmed to have a very short attention span. And so don't expect to go out the gate and you're going to go and sit with Sir Isaac Newton and Annie Hattie May. You gotta build that muscle up. You gotta strengthen things up.
Say it again.
Build the muscle up. And so what I learned early on was that you got the more reps you get in, the better your 6-pack look, the more you exercise. And so once I realized it's about holding a singular thought, I took what's his name that wrote The Magician? I forget his name now. Magician Philip something.
William Cooper. Is it Philip Cooper or The Magician?
Philip Cooper. That's it. Philip Cooper.
Yeah, Philip Cooper. Yeah.
So when I read Philip Cooper for the first time, he talked about building that magical space that you go to in your mind, your lab. Wow. So I started with that. I built it up almost brick by brick. I put spiritual protections around it. I did this. I put all the details on it, and I knew that I could walk through it with my eyes closed. But what I was actually doing was I was training myself to hold that thought.
Singular thought.
Stay there, And so I trained myself that I put in a safety measure. So if I ever started to drift off to sleep, a white light would open up and I would get kicked out of the dream.
Okay.
Suck me up, man. Wake me up. Yep. Start over. Try try harder. And so what that did for me was the more you work at, because there's a little space right in between wakefulness. There's a name for it, hypnagogic. Hypnagogic is when you're waking up, and then the opposite, I forget. Hypnagogic is when you're going to sleep, and there's the opposite from right before you wake up. But in that hypnagogic space, you're Philip Cooper, yeah. So when you're in that space, you're very much aware. I'll give you a Sandman tie into this same little space of dreams, and I know it exists for everybody, because when we think of the Sandman, have you ever wondered why they call him the Sandman, Mr. Sandman? Give me. Have you ever wondered why they call him the Sandman?
Please share.
Oh my goodness, this is one of my doper revelations in meditation. So when you hold on to that little thought between wakefulness and sleep, that's the hypnagogic realm.
Hypnagogic, you're right.
When you hold on to it, it's kind of like you feathering the accelerator. You're right in that little space. There is you see nothing but this golden sand streaming past you. And literally, I would stick my hand up and put it into sand, and you can preview your dreams. You know, I don't want to dream about that. Just put it in that little stream. Oh, that look kind of dope, and you dip on. And so I'm not making it up. And again, the quote meaning it makes me. Somebody said they bought the book. If you get it, it's all in there. I didn't encode it. Again, it's a conversation between your subconscious and me. So if you didn't get it the first time, it's there, and your subconscious definitely got it. But this is a definite, and it's amazing to me when you find out something like Sandman. Why is sand associated with sleep? Now, I can't tell you the reason why that's a fixture. I cannot tell you why it's a fixture in that plane of existence, right? In that plane of mentalism, but it exists as a symbol that is known throughout the ages. Everybody associates sleep with sand. I tell you another one that blew me away. When you go to sleep, what land do you go to? We call it a land. Sleep is called what land? Can you think of it? I know you heard it before. La La Land. La La Land. You ever heard of that? Yeah. They say you go to La La Land. Well, La La means sleep in Swahili.
Wow, now that I didn't know. Okay.
These are little things that are embedded in us, and we respond to it. And so these are the things that are transmitted. I want to pontificate. These are transmitted throughout the ages, right? These things are communicated, you know. And I actually believe that our technology never matches our state of consciousness, because the one wouldn't need the other. Right. And so the dumbing down and what we talk about, this is, believe it or not, this is a sign that we're entering Aquarius. We need the glass empty before we can fill it back up. We got it has to be done. Otherwise, you know, otherwise you'll be tracking all that outside inside.
Right. And we gotta do a part 2 to this, sir.
Absolutely.
Do a part 2.
Absolutely. But man, my son let me know to go get his mama.
yeah. Like I told you, I said the hour was gonna go by fast.
It did. Hey, that's why I love talk. Okay, before we get off, I love talking to you, but I gotta ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How did you get your name?
I made it up. Man, I'm deep into, and I just realized this recently, is that I really dedicated my life to magic and occultism. So I chose that name, Magic. And so it just wasn't enough. So I came across, I was studying the ATRs, the African traditional religions, and voodoo and stuff. And one of the deities is Baron Samedi. One of his monikers is Baron Lacroix, And if you know anything about Baron Samedi, he loves sex. He's dirty mouthed. He likes to drink, likes to party. Everything you would think of that you're not supposed to do, he likes. So I added that because Lacroix in French means the crossroads. And I'm currently, well, not currently, but always in a perpetual state of in the spiritual, 1 foot in the spiritual world, 1 foot in the mundane. So Magic of the Crossroads is how I got my name.
That's dope. Do you have a copy of Judith Illis's Encyclopedia of Spirits?
I think I do. Do you?
You should read the section on Baron Samedi, because what you'll find out, and this blew me away. I learned this after I became a Mason. Yeah, believe it or not, it's amazing how the universe works. Because like you're saying, you picked that name. You've been had it. Your subconscious knew it. It was it. It was just a matter of time for you to consciously be aware of it. Well, when I became a Mason, I told you I used to read this book. This was dinner time reading for my kids. I found out, and literally I had the book for years prior. But as soon as I became a Mason, I found out that Baron Sabedi on the astral is a 33rd degree Grand Master. You know, and so that was something, because we all choose our path in terms of what's most accessible to us, and that's why I say that through past life regressions, I see a straight line forward. It might look zigzag to the uninformed, but I can look back and see that I've hit all the major milestones. I've hit them all to get to exactly where I need to be right now. And so that's a matter of reincarnation. Another thing, I'm so into movies because I dream in movies for the most part. Sometimes I'm sitting in theaters. Other times I break the fourth wall in my dream. You know, I think in cinema. I'm writing movies too. I wrote a Baron Samedi movie, and I actually just wrote we're talking about voodoo. I actually just wrote a movie about a bank heist where the it's involving voodoo, you know, and so you always find yourself exactly where you need to be. I was telling a friend recently, and I know I gotta go myself, but I was telling a friend recently, you know, because he was kicking himself in the butt. He was like, "Man, I don't meditate no more. I don't do this. I don't do that. You know, I fell off, and you know, and he was having a lower self, higher self conversation with me." And I was telling him, do you remember that it's an old school joke? Old school, like a Bob Hope joke or something, where you say, I want to thank my feet for always getting me there. And I want to thank my arms for always holding me down. And so we laugh at these things, but actually this is the conversation between higher self and lower self.
Absolutely.
Your lower self gets none of the recognition, but it carried your sorry self until you were ready to wake up. And so you might think that, man, I'm in my lower self, man, I ate so much pork, I can't believe it. Yes, your lower self was telling you, man, this is not on the menu. We're not supposed to be doing it. But if you want more, here, eat more till you get tired of it. And now you're a vegan and you say, man, how much your life has changed. But your lower self serves that same purpose. So we always find our path. And it's hardest to accept when we encounter things that we consider traumatic. You know, why me? You know, but like my granny used to say, never why me, it's try me, right? And so you question what we consider to be like the bad, but we don't question the good. But we have to realize that like and unlike are the same. Bad and good, you know, and all that. And that might sound real simple. I know I dropped the mic when I said it, but for me, when I say like and like is the same, like and unlike are the same, is that number one, we live in a realm where that demands polarity, duality. So for somebody to do good, somebody has to do bad. You know, for somebody to be loved, somebody has to be
absolutely.
You know, and so when you realize it, you know, you try to put it in perspective. You do what you can to heal. You know, me myself, I suffered 2 fires, and I the first one was real small. I knew it was spiritual though. I wasn't trying to fool myself. My neighbor had actually he had somebody living in his garage, and it caught on fire. It just burnt some of my things in the we had adjoining garages. But I'll be brief. When the fire department came, this man had a hawk with a 6-foot wingspan inside the garage. They brought Heru out. I know he was stiff and had baby rigor mortis, but still that was a powerful symbol, fire and Heru. And so I did my best to connect the dots on that, and I said, this is powerful. I just didn't realize it. And then a couple of years ago, I had a fire that actually took almost everything. And so again, it's something that I might consider myself to be in my highest form, you know, my Goku, I'm in my highest form, but actually no, because a part of me is still groping to say, and trust me, I've done the breakdowns on fire and this and that. And so, but when it does, okay, I'm gonna take y'all to church because God is good all the time and all the time. So when it happens, it's gonna be right on time. When I finally get it and say, it's going to be right on time. So I love OA. We talked about dark. The other one is lock and key. might seem kind of childish. Lock and Key, I believe, is on Netflix. It's been on there for probably since COVID. Lock and Key. What's another good one that slept on? We talked about Watchmen.
We talked about Watchmen, Lovecraft Country,
Lost. Okay,
Lost.
now Lost, I would recommend anybody if you haven't watched Lost, and I'm gonna give you a cheat code because I watched Lost in real time when it came out and was hooked on it then when you had to wait week to week. Yeah. And I revisited, but if you want to watch it and maybe get a better download, we're talking about attention spans and all. You can go on YouTube and they'll give you the episodes like a machete form where it's chopped up. And actually when it plays that way, you still have the aha moments, but you're not groping for them.
Right.
So that's always good. And don't be afraid, man, to decode something off of go. Sometimes I'll go and see if I can find a script. A lot of times you'll be surprised you can find a script. I'll go and look and see if I can listen to the director or the producer, find somebody talking about it, because there's always things in it. My daughter watched Vivarium last night, and I was curious, like, what did you get out of it, And she gave me a pretty good breakdown, and she thought it was the monotonous of life. And when he found the dead body, he realized that was him and it was going to repeat. So I asked her, kind of like reincarnation, huh? Because like I said, that's my little pet project that I'm working on. And she's not down with the reincarnation, and I get it, but we were just these are the ways I decode. I try to look through different lenses, and by all means, Inception was super dope. Because that's what I was telling my daughter. She didn't understand the scene in the beginning of Vivarium when the bird died, and so I said, whenever you run into something like that, I said you always go to the dream meaning first, because movies mimic our dreams, and so the dream meaning. Now, dream meanings could get confusing because it's going to give you like 9. You'll find 9 different meanings for the same.
Right.
But in all things, you always find what resonates with you. So if you see a fly, does it represent filth and annoyance, or does it represent spiritual enlightenment? It's up to you.
Totem. Everything is a totem.
Yeah,
that's what I like to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna drop some. I gotta find this guy's name. The guy that did the animal totem books. I have a lot of books on symbols. So there's one guy. He did a really good job of breaking down different animals. So if I can remember, I'm gonna shoot it to you.
Animal
speaking. Yeah. What's the guy's name? He's like Australian or something, and he has like a dozen books on animals. But one he actually gives the meanings of animals, and it's closer to a more spiritual base. It's gonna come to me. If I gotta find the book, I got the book. But
I thought you were talking about a singular book, because the one that I say that breaks down like every single totem that can exist is called Animal Speak.
You remember the author's name?
I can't remember. I can see the title and I can see the actual cover, but I can't remember. I got to shoot it to you though. I have.
Okay. That might be it. That might be it, because I want to say it was a Bobby Hemmett recommendation. And I got the book for one animal, and I was amazed to see that he had just all these different breakdowns. And he has about 6 to 12 books. They're all about animals. He spoke to animals. That was his thing.
Yeah.
And I want to say he was Australian.
I can't remember, but I gotta look for it.
I'll find it. But I just want to drop that. I gotta run, because if my wife sees this on YouTube, I'm gonna be in trouble.
Everybody, we're gonna do a part 2 to this if the professor will agree to it.
Absolutely. Whenever, just let me know. We'll work it out.
Thank you for coming through. I am Magick LaQuad. That is the Professor Michael Bell. Thank y'all for coming. We see y'all next time. We out of here, y'all. Namaste.
All right, peace.
Peace.